is joining in from Chola Investments to help us understand his market view and how do we decipher all of these newer moving parts across the globe. Warm welcome to you and thank you so much for taking the time out, Dharmesh ji. Good morning. At the start of another week, we have so many moving parts to really look at. So let's start off with your first view as to how did you assess what's happened on a global footprint over the weekend. One, a meeting at Tianjin, the signals that are coming in from there. And two, our biggest talk point has been tariffs and what has occurred in US itself. What the US federal court has done against those tariffs. How would you look at that?
See, as far as the US federal court thing is concerned, it's not very significant. It's a pretty insignificant kind of an event which has happened there, because president will still have multiple ways to push through the tariff thing. So even if the judgment is against the imposition of tariff, there are several sections in the US Constitution which can be used by the president and he can have his way out. So, and that's the tariff thing is central to this presidency. So let's not forget that he will not leave anything unturned so that the tariff doesn't go through the way he desires it to roll out. So that is not significant to my mind. Secondly, the China event, again, sentimentally it's positive. People will be looking forward to it. But I have my own doubts, because eventually what you are going to sell to China. So basically you can be a job processor, job work being done, certain part of that. But eventually there's a huge trade deficit of India with China, and we are importers of everything, from raw material to finished goods and things like that. So some part of that processing can happen in India and it can be sold in India. Eventually the end product which is there where you are going to sell, so those markets are now being identified are African countries and other parts of the Middle East. So these are new geographies which would be, people are focusing on, both companies and the government, and it will take its own sweet time to roll out. So net things does look, murkier on the, macro front. The only silver lining to this fact was the GDP numbers, which came quite better. Whichever way you look at, either you look at real GDP kind of a growth or a nominal GDP, which was again 8.8%, better than the expectation of 8%. And going forward, it again would be depending on government spending, because this time the GDP numbers was primarily driven by government spending, which went up by 50%. One caveat was last year the base effect was low because elections were in the process, and this time that was not there, so you had this advantage. At the same time, monsoon was well spread till Q1. So coming into Q2, again, difficulties will arise, because monsoons are taking a, earlier shape in certain parts of northern India, and the process is, getting more, not evenly spread out this time around. So there are caveats.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.